I'm here today with our friend and colleague, Jackie Lapin, and I just want to give a little kudos to her because she really comes with, not really comes with a wealth of experience and knowledge, but if I don't read it off of my paper, I will be missing something, I'm sure. So she's founder of Conscious Companies, and she serves transformational messengers, which are all of you. She has over 35 years of experience. I pick Jackie's brain all the time because she knows publicity, radio media, tours, speaking, all of the different facets of interacting on stages, interacting on the radio, and getting your message out there. What I fell in love with was the Speakertunity program, and she's creator of that, and it's the Transformational Speaker Leads Tip Sheet. And what I love about it, I signed up for it about a year ago. I get every month, I get a list of all the speaking engagements that are taking speakers in my local area. And I don't know about you guys, but that is a tough list to come by. So Jackie, thanks for doing that. Thanks for pulling that all together. That must be crazy. So welcome.
I'm so pleased to be here, Chris. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is going to be fun.
Yes, it is. So the format that we're going to use today is we're on Zoom. If you have any questions, just ask them in the chat, and I will do my best to get on top of those. And Jackie and I are going to just have a conversation. We created a list of questions that we're going to play with back and forth. Then Jackie has about 9 slides that she's going to share with us. And I'm hoping, trusting that all the information that you wanted today when you showed up will be there. So Jackie, I know that a lot of our folks, and I can see them on this list of folks here, are really trying to build a calendar of speaking opportunities. So what is your best recommendation on how to do that?
Well, I think we need to step back and look at the whole issue of visibility, Chris. That's really what we're talking about here. And it's the key to attracting new clients and changing more lives. And it really encompasses more than just speaking. So I want to, if I can, switch over to some slides.
Okay, great.
And then we will talk about, there we go, the key to attracting new clients and changing more lives, as I was just saying. So when you are looking for opportunities, it's really imperative, well, now wouldn't you know that my computer is going to act up, that there are really 3 paths to visibility that will really fill your client list. And speaking is only one of them. And we're going to talk about all 3 of them today. But the power of visibility that really can't be underestimated. If you are not being visible, then you're not going to attract clients. They're just not going to show up for you. And you have to be where they are in order to get them to follow, to love, to know, and to trust you. So the key of what we're talking about today is, how are we going to make ourselves visible? That's really the essence of what this conversation is about. And without visibility, you'll lose your momentum, your time investment, and your money and your passion. Your business just starts to slow down. So we don't want that to happen. We want it to accelerate upwards. So that's,
well, I can tell when we're out speaking and we're out running around doing road shows and all the things that we do, I can absolutely tell the impact on our business. And when we're not doing it, like in the summer, we don't do a lot of speaking engagements, and we slow down to almost a crawl, and just automatically.
And I see that in my own business. I kind of like to stay home a little bit in the summertime. And, you know, I can see that things just don't, it hits the doldrums just a little bit like it does for everybody else in August. But man, when I start getting out and going to speaking engagements, as I've been doing the last couple of weeks, the things just start to pick up dramatically. So
right, it's amazing.
So this is what we're really going to talk about. Getting on stages, it's the single most effective way to attract new clients. Number 1. So in order to do that, there's a couple of things that you need to do. And the first one is, you actually have to block time in your schedule to make those contacts. Now, what happens usually with most people who are in business, they think, I'm going to go after some speaking engagements. I'll find some time this month to do it. And you get to the end of the month and nothing's happened.
Right, right.
It's filled in. So you literally have to book 3 hours a week on your calendar as if it was any other kind of appointment, and use that time for going after your speaking engagements. And I say that if you can't spare the time, you can't earn the dime.
You know, I'm going to add a couple things to that. So all of you know Chris and Martha from Wide Awake Business. And what's our number one thing we talk about is the Power Hour, which are 3 power hours a week, and the Power 100 list. So why would we not treat it any differently? Just like you call on your prospective clients. You're going to have a list, just like Jackie just recommended, have a list of all those sponsor potentials, affiliate potentials, speaking opportunity potentials, and spend 3 hours a week during your power hours, right? That's exactly what it is. I was doing some work with DeMartini. What's his first name? And he has his values perspective. And when you look at the values perspective, if wealth building is one of your values perspective, and you're not spending any time on wealth building, how in the heck can it happen, right?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
It's John DeMartini.
John DeMartini, right.
You know, you're absolutely right. So once you really commit the time, the next thing you need to have is a presentation, or actually you need 3 presentations. You need your primary signature presentation, and then a secondary one that's a little bit different topic to capture either another market or a different concept, because they might have done the one that your signature presentation, now you want an alternate for that, and then one might even be a workshop. So you want to develop those, and you want to have one that's, you want to take your signature and you want to make it 90 minutes, 60 minutes, and 30 minutes. So that you have all 3 of those and they can fit into the kinds of opportunities that you're going to be looking for. The next thing is you need to figure out your presentation skills. Where are you on that scale, essentially? Are you just beginning? If you're just beginning, there are certain things that you need to do. One, you could just go out and start doing local engagements in your own marketplace that will allow you to really hone the presentation you're doing and see what works and not works. You can also start with Toastmasters if you're really intimidated by getting up on the stage. That's another great way. And the third way is getting yourself a mentor, a speaker trainer who's actually going to help you with your presentation skills and help you even craft your signature speech if you don't already have it. So you really want to have all of those things in order. And then the last thing that's really important is you need to have a speaker one sheet. And while this may be on your website, I find that especially locally, it's really a value to have this speaker one sheet. And even if you have this information on your website, it should be organized in this manner. You need a bio on yourself, and here's the secret. That bio is not about you, it's about how you serve the community, what it is that you're doing that is going to change their lives. That's what the speaker booker wants to know. What is it that you can offer that's going to have an impact on the lives of the attendees?
Okay, that's a tip that everyone should have written down. I even wrote it down. It's like, so far, the number of tips you've given us are 3 hours a week, 3 different presentations, and your bio needs to be about the people you serve, all about the customer, which is what we talk about all the time. Good, yay.
And so then you also have a great photo, and it needs to be a current photo, not something that's 10 years old. I know we're all a little vain, but if you have gray hair and your photo shows you with dark hair, or one of my favorite radio show hosts shows up on all of his things with all this beautiful head of hair, and let me tell you, he doesn't have any hair. So if you don't show up looking the way that you put in your speaker one sheet, there is a disconnect on the authenticity scale. So really make it sure that it's current. And then you want to have a list of your presentations. And if you have the opportunity, include a few testimonials too. So package that all up really nice graphically. And then you have something that you can present to the speaker bookers and really make sure that they are seeing the best version of you. That's, I think.
Nice. That is good. So I have the magic question. So how do you get on other people's stages?
Well, that's a really interesting thing. One of the things, you know, many people today, well, let's talk about the distinctions between the different kinds of speaking engagements. One, there are those people that allow you to come on the stage and they don't pay you. They're just going to turn their stage over to you, but you have an opportunity to either offer something free that is going to engage people in your community, or you can sell from the stage and enroll them in a program. That's one kind of speaking engagement where you're waiving your fee. Then there's paid speaking engagements, and while those are wonderful, they are very hard to get in many cases. And a lot of times you can actually, if you know how to sell from the stage, you're going to make a lot more money with the free opportunities than the paid engagements, because that's a fixed opportunity. And oftentimes with the fixed opportunities, they also don't let you engage with the audience afterward. So it doesn't allow you to build your client list the way you do in the free opportunities. But now there's also kind of a hybrid situation where
pay to play.
Huh?
Pay to play.
Pay to play, exactly. Personal growth leaders, sales leaders, they are asking you to pay your way onto their stage. So that little tip that you just asked about, if you want to get on their stages and you have your own event, it's called a stage swap. And that's where you offer them a chance to be on your stage and they let you on their stage. And they waive the fee for you to do that if you give them a big enough audience. Now, this doesn't work if you have 10 people at a workshop and they have 500. But if you have relatively the same size audience or enough for them to draw people to their next event, they may very well be willing to do a stage swap. So that's one of my favorite ways to get on good stages without having to put any money up front.
Good idea. There's a tip. Do you have any questions from the audience? Please put them into the chat box and we'll get them over here to Jackie. It's a good time to ask questions. So what else can we ask you? So how do you find radio shows? Because you and I have been talking a lot about speaking on stages, but how do you find those perfect radio shows?
Well, the nice thing about radio is there are so many different ways. You know, we were talking about the fact that I do radio media tours where I introduce authors to 3,000 personal growth radio shows, 400 health and wellness, and 700 podcasts. And we've been doing this for about 10 years. But today, in the old days, all you had was broadcast radio. That was it. You know, your KABCs and KCBSs and K whatever it might, or W whatever it might have been. But today, that's only a certain segment of the market, because you not only have internet network shows, so you might have Progressive Radio Net or Healthy Radio Net or what do you call it? Oh, the big one. Begins with a V. All of a sudden, it's not coming to me.
Voice of America?
Voice of America. Thank you very much.
So we have one of Cheryl Lintz's on here, and she actually runs one of the shows for Voice of America.
Fabulous. And they have channels, and that's one of the nice things about these internet networks. A lot of times they're either specific or they might be general, but they have individual channels. So if you want health and wellness, you can find it. If you want business, you can find it. If you want women's, you can find it. So it makes it really easy to go find the kinds of shows that you want. So there's the internet networks. Blog Talk is very much like that. But an interesting thing is happening with Blog Talk. A lot of people have written it off as, oh, it's just Blog Talk. But what's happening to Blog Talk today is it's becoming the home recording facility for many of the people doing podcasts.
Oh, interesting.
So they not only have their little Blog Talk community, they also have their podcast community. So don't write off Blog Talk. So that's another great resource. And by the way, if you're going to find broadcast radio, just Google radio stations in your market, radio stations plus your market, and you're going to find a lot of them. But here's a really interesting thing about broadcast radio. When you go to find them, you're probably going to have to call the station. Yes, it's called picking up the telephone. I know most of the digital world doesn't like to do that these days. But you're probably going to have to call the station, because either the producer may not be listed, or if the host is also the producer, usually their email is not necessarily on the website. So you have to call the station and get that. And sometimes, and what you're looking for are local shows. Be careful, because a lot of these radio shows have nationally syndicated programming, and you don't want to start reaching out to those guys if you're looking for local. Now, if you want to reach the national syndicated program, you're going to have to go straight to wherever they are headquartered, and that is usually not necessarily at your local station. So that's how you'd find the broadcast. That's how you find the internet. Now, if you're looking for podcasts, which is, of course, one of the really burgeoning areas of radio today, you would go to iTunes, and you'd also go to iHeartRadio. Those are the two biggers. There's also Spreaker. But those are the two biggest, and you again go into the channels for the subject matter you're looking for and start pulling those down. Now, here's the thing though, they never list the actual emails for the host. You're going to have to go to their personal websites and then find the contact information. And if they don't have an email, a lot of times you can simply put the information into their contact form and ask what would be the email to pitch yourself to. But some of them actually have forms on their website that say, book yourself for the radio show.
Oh, that was another great tip. Did you guys all write that down? That was good. Jackie, you're full of good tips. That's why I love bringing you on these kind of interviews, is because there's so much information that you know. And Iris Miller, who's in New York, she just asked a question that she said, how can you do a speaker one sheet if you haven't had any speaker engagements? And I said, yes, you can do a speaker one sheet, and it's about your experience. But what Jackie's going to talk about later on today is how you get a list of all the local speaking opportunities in your area. So Iris, you could get that list and start chipping away at some of those smaller events so that you can build the one sheet to the next level so you can get on other stages. Right? Did I steal that one?
Absolutely. But you know, the thing about that too is, you know, there is a theory, a methodology in psychology called act as if. So even if you don't have the experience, act as if you do. Position yourself as the superior expert on your subject matter, and it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to say where you've been booked before, as long as the content is valuable. And that's what I tell people about radio as well. They don't really care if you had a book that came out and you didn't get around to it, now it's 6 months later that you're actually promoting it. In radio, it's not so much, is it right off the hot presses, but is this valuable to the audience? And as long as it's valuable to the audience, they'll take the pitch anytime.
One of the things that we've done with a handful of clients, and I'll just share one quick story. So we have a client who's used to own a veterinary practice in Canada, in Calgary, or outside in the suburbs of Calgary. And she wanted to sell her veterinary practice, which she did, and open like a traveling veterinary practice. And she's like, how can I get out to the neighborhoods I want to be in? And so I said, well, local radio is probably your best bet, or a local newspaper. So she went to the radio and asked them if she could do a little show on pet health on the radio. And they said no. And so she goes, that didn't work. And I go to the newspaper. So she went to the newspaper. They said yes. She went back to the radio, and the radio said yes.
Huh. Good for her.
And it's all free advertising, right? It's her radio show she does once a month, all about pet health, and then her column that she does, I think, once a week, all about pet health.
Very, very clever. Yeah, that's exactly the way to do it. Really
it's
good.
Fun.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, we have another question. Okay, so you started talking about podcasts. What are some of the best ways to just start doing podcasts? Because I know Martha and I, we talk about it all the time, but it falls to the bottom of our list.
Well, one of the things is you probably know people that have podcasts. The likelihood is either if you're in a mastermind or you happen to have friends or you are a follower of somebody, if you know people that have podcasts, just start asking them. And once you get into it and you start having the flow of it, then it's going to be easier to find more of them. Truth be told, one of the ways I build my list is that I get emails from lots of leaders saying, oh, I'm going to be on so-and-so show next Thursday. I don't have that show. And I go track it down and then I add it to my list. So those are, you'd be surprised at how many are floating around the fringes of your life that you can just reach out to and grab.
Nice. Perfect. So any questions, more questions from you folks on the Zoom call? I don't see any. Cheryl Lentz from Voice of America, she said that she's on the business channel.
And that's great. It's a great opportunity, and there's a lot of folks that we actually have contact with from that channel, and we find that it's one of the nice thing about business folks is that they don't hesitate to help you promote and sell your concept to their marketplace because they're in business.
I know, that's great. We love that about Cheryl. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Okay, so you and I were talking, and I was reading through your slides. We were talking about virtual summits. So virtual summits are kind of an interesting thing. I know Martha and I ran virtual summits for ourselves. We've ran them for a few of our clients. What a lot of work. Oh my gosh. There are so many moving parts.
There really are. I want to make sure that everybody understands what a virtual summit is. That's a cooperative event where there is one host who invites a bunch of other people to actually come and be experts. And they could be back to back on 1 or 2 days. It could be spread out over a week. But the real benefit of these is that everybody gets to promote to their lists. And when they actually have their day, when they're actually presenting, they're going to be exposed to people from everybody else's lists. So what makes virtual summits worthwhile is that they're great list building opportunities. They're terrific opportunities to add to your list and in some cases actually sell. Many of them are just an opportunity to provide something free that attracts people to your list. But if you get on the right summit, the host may also encourage you to sell your product. And in some cases, they may also want to split revenue with you. So all of those things are the different permutations of summits. And you're right, they are a lot of work. But for somebody who's just trying to align themselves with other leaders who might be perfect joint venture partners, who might help them build their lists, this is a great tool. It doesn't take a lot of your time and your energy from your standpoint, but you have to be a good partner. And that's really what the host is going to be looking for. Are you willing to do the promotion that's a part of this? Do you have a great a free offer that everybody is going to find irresistible? The key to getting on the virtual summit circuit, and now I get invited to all kinds, is simply to make sure that you're such a great partner and you give such great content that everybody wants you on their summits as well. And so you really want to build that kind of cachet that says you're a great summit participant and you are willing to play the game the way that the host wants you. Those are really key things that will make the host want to have you as a guest again and again and again so that you can continue to grow your list. We do these kinds of things all the time.
So one of the, Gail Dixon, who I know super well, says she really believes that selecting the summits are super important because she's been on a lot of summits and some of them have had minimal additions to her list.
That is true, and obviously the more established the summit is, If it's the 4th annual or the 10th annual, that's going to tell you right off the bat that this person has the ability to draw. And some of the beginning summits are a little bit more challenging because they're just starting out and they're pulling together. Another way to think, to anticipate that it might very well draw well, is if they have 1 or 2 really big names. A lot of times what the host will do is they'll get 2 or 3 big names, or even 1 or 2 big names, and then fill in the rest with people who are emerging, so to speak. But if you get the bigger names, a lot of times that means that there's going to be more of an impact. So, but ask a lot of questions of the host, get a feel for their track record, get a sense of who the other people are on the summit, and that should give you some better idea if it's the summit that's right for you.
I have quite a few really great stories. One of our clients, she's a virtual minister, and she's been doing a telesummit. We ran them for the first 5 years, I think, that she's done them. I think she's now on maybe the 11th year. She has built her database somewhere from 2000 when we first met her. Basically, the only thing that she does is an annual telesummit. She's now up to like 60,000 people in her database. I have another client who has ran telesummits, like put them on. I guess so did Jennifer, but she put them on, and she has 16,000 people following her on Facebook and 65 or 63,000 people in her database. So it really does work. It's a great way to build a list. It really, really is. And I think that's good feedback, Gail, is that you're absolutely right. Selecting summits, asking great, powerful questions, and just like anything else, you're going to reach out to all these summit leaders during your 3 hours that you're working on your speaking and you're working on your visibility, and ask some really powerful questions. And you might have them written out, the powerful questions, before you get on the phone so you don't get scattered and all over the place and forget to ask the most important question. Who is your audience? Because I know some people have gotten on summits and they're like, that wasn't my audience. It's like, well, you should have known that before you did the summit.
Well, and ask, if you know other people that have been on their past summits, you can also ask them as well.
Oh, that's a great idea. Great idea. Okay. So why don't you give us some ideas of some easy ways to find summits, easy ways to find podcasts?
So, you know, one of the reasons that people don't get booked is just simply because they don't want to do the research. It's a pain. You know, it's soul crushing to sit at the computer and to go through all these things. So if you want a comprehensive list, well, you're already probably feeling like that. I know I do. And I don't want to be doing it myself. So we have a solution, and Chris alluded to it in the beginning. It's called Speakertunity. What's so cool about Speakertunity is that we do the research for you. And that's for speaker leads, radio and podcast leads, and virtual summit leads. So it's really very, very cool. So when you're looking at Speakertunity speaker leads, here's what you're going to get. We give you local meetings, women's groups, chambers of commerce, holistic chambers of commerce, entrepreneur groups, moms groups, health and wellness groups, anything that meets regularly, conscious business groups. Then we also give you conferences, conventions, and lifestyle events that are aligned with this and like these kinds of content. Then we give you unities and centers for spiritual living. So if you have a personal growth message or a wellness message, that's really an ideal audience. We give you 4 TEDx's in every issue somewhere in North America. And we give you 2 presentation-friendly bookstores if you happen to have a book. Because, you know, if you go to Barnes & Noble, they just put a poster up. But these places will actually tell their community you're coming. Then we also give you, I profile at least 1 or 2 organizations in every issue that's national. It has local chapters, and I give you the link to go here to find your local chapter. We also have some associations in Speakertunity. Now, in addition to all of that, we also have a private Facebook group. The tip sheets themselves are fairly timeless. These are just places that always take speakers, or at the events, you have to check and see what time of the year this particular event pops up. But in the Facebook group, which you have to be a member to subscribe to, we give you immediate calls for speakers. These guys are looking right now for speaking opportunities. And it could be everything from a multi-speaker event and somebody says, I got space on my stage, to a major conference in any particular area, business or spirituality or health and wellness or women's groups or whatever it might be, because we're always looking for really good ones and we aggregate them there. Now, here's the really cool stuff. How much does it cost you every hour of your time? Are you a $100 an hour person, $120, $150, $170, $200 an hour? Well, for $35 a month, you get all of this. Now, I'm going to say that it's not all in your market. It's going to be scattered all over North America, including Canada. But in every issue, there will be something, 2, 3 different things in your area, because we try to make sure that there are things within driving distance in every single issue for everybody who wants to get out and speak. So it's great. For $35 a month, all it takes is one speaking gig where you get one client and you paid for it for an entire year. Now,
I love that. You know, I just put the link in there so you guys can just click in the chat box, click on the link, go check it out. But $35 a month, that's why I love this opportunity so much. So Gail's actually one of your subscribers, and she says, it's great, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Thank you, Gail. That was so lovely of you to say. I really, really appreciate that. We love our subscribers. It's the coolest thing to walk into a speaking engagement almost anywhere in the country, and or a conference where I'm participating as an exhibitor, and somebody said, I'm one of your subscribers. I'm one of your subscribers. It's really gratifying. Thank you so very much. We love it. But let's say that you just don't want to just do speaking engagements on stages. You want to do some stuff from home? Well, then we have Speakertunity Radio Insider. And don't get me wrong, that has radio shows and podcasts. In every issue, you get one national radio show. You get 3 broadcast radio shows. You get 3 podcasts that are kind of general. It might be success, might be dating, might be women, might be wellness, something along that. 2 business podcasts are looking for business people. You're going to get also 3 internet radio shows at one of those networks that we were talking about. You're going to get 1 book radio show, and you're going to get one that's either a video cast, where it might be on YouTube, or it might be on Facebook Live, or some other video platform, or you get a pay to play, because increasingly these radio shows are asking for money, but you get to decide if that's right for you. So altogether, you get 25 of these every single month, and they're culled from my master database. So we know these are really legitimate shows that like this cup, and they're not looking for politics. They're looking for this kind of content. The last thing is Speakertunity Summits. Now, there is nobody that is actually aggregating virtual summits before they are filled. Most of the time when you see virtual summits, it's when they show up on your desk and somebody is saying, oh, come and listen to this. Well, that's not very good for somebody who says, oh, shoot, I should have known about this. I am perfect for this. We tell you about virtual summits before they are booked with open guest presenter seats. We scramble all month long. On the 1st of every month, we send that list to you so that you can get yourself onto those virtual summits. Each one of these is only $35 a month.
So here's what I want to do, because I always do this with my little trusty dusty calculator. I always do this. So here is $35 a month. Let's say you're $100 an hour, right? Because most of you all are at least $100 an hour. So how long do you think it would take you to find 5 to 10 speaking engagements all by yourself on any one month? I know that it's going to take at least an hour, and you're going to get distracted, and it's probably going to take 2 hours. So for $200 of your time, or $35 a month, and then you just have the list. So you're spending 3 hours a month calling, emailing, getting out there. Oh, that's brilliant.
Well, and here's a little bonus. If you ever find anything that is out of date on one of your Speakertunity tip sheets, we will go find the current person and get you that information on any of them. That is our policy. Because some of these things are going to change without us knowing. You know, an organization changes presidents or bookers. So just tell us. We're going to make sure you get value out of every single issue.
That's awesome.
So there we are.
So do you guys have any questions or thoughts? She's given us so many tips. You know, 3 hours a week to book speaking engagements, the 30, 60, 90-minute presentations that you want to have already. Make sure your bio is on how you serve. We just got, and shame on us from Martha and I, but we just got turned down at a speaking engagement. And the guy who's not in charge of hiring the speakers, but is the overall president, I asked him, he's one of our clients, and I said, Byron, can you just tell me, like, why didn't we get picked? I don't understand. And he goes, your package was a little too self-promoting. I'm like, oh my gosh, shame on us.
Well, you know, and when I do radio media tours and I ask my clients to give me 20 questions, I actually go through those 20 questions, because if it's too self-promoting, you know, like you got, I know that my radio show hosts are going to get pissed. So I make sure that there's real value there. And you have to, like you said, you need to make sure that they see the value in what you're doing. And you got to kind of walk that line very, very gently. And thanks everybody for participating, and for, I think, Gail, who offered the testimonial. So I'm grateful for your time, and hopefully this was useful.
Thank you so much. And a couple folks have said thank you so much, and we will see you on the other side. Thank you, my friend. And we'll be posting this on Facebook Live in a new group that we're starting up in October. And so we'll look forward to seeing you on the inside. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.